will be the first day in the afternoon where we move into the rebirthing, the actual rebirthing experience. Already I feel that's kind of the wrong way to say it.
Because now I'm thinking we're going to do some heavy-duty breathing here.
How would you say?
The beautiful thing of the thing is that it's called birth therapy. So it's not kind of about really going into through a whole process of rebirthing, but it's more kind of, you know, a therapy to get more deeply connected with where you were, what you were, the conscious, the awareness which was there when you were in the womb and shortly after birth.
I have to go.
Shit, that's right. I signed up for this other course I had to go to.
Exactly.
We're going, shit, we're late.
So what's another way of saying that is to reattune to the layers of ourselves which are inside ourselves, behind what we are, what we know ourselves to be, what we feel ourselves to be, which is a deepening of the inner expansion, expanding more inwards to the depth of what is there in us. Now, I don't know if that makes any sense, but to say it in a different way, all that we are in, which has a shape, which can be seen by others or by ourselves, including the body, even now, including, of course, our thoughts, which we can witness, including our emotions, which carry us through the runograms of all of this that can be seen is not the deepest layer of who we are. It falls into the whole area of duality. Duality is the split which is there between that which can be seen, an object, and that which is seen, the subject. Meaning, if there is a person who we are, and we believe ourselves to be, and we feel ourselves to be, and which we defend, and we are able to see it, we are much more that which is seen. There is the seer and the seen. There's us looking, and there is that which is seen. This is duality, subject and object.
How do you write it?
Duality.
Duality.
There are two. There's two there.
Okay. Okay.
Neither the subject nor the object is who you are. There's one which sees both. You cannot be two. in the depth of how we are, we cannot be two. We can contain two.
Okay.
We cannot be only an object. The object arises out of the seeing of it. Because we see it, the object is there. But we can't only be the seeing of the object either, because this is also unstable.
Object is there.
Yes. Exactly. So as a fertilized egg, which is life, is swimming towards the womb and implanting and blending into a whole apparatus of life, of tissue and placenta and multiplying cells of amniotic fluid around it, totally attuned to its own temperature. It's in a state of surrender which is beyond any subject-object. It's really still in a unity. It's still very much surrendered in one, in its experience. We think of a fetus and we think of often a little schnoodle of pasta. We, through our adult minds, perceive a little thing which is confined in space like this. Tiny. It's nothing. It's hardly formed. We objectify it. It itself is not an object. It's an unlimited space. Still, it's an unlimited space which is beginning to move through the layers of the physical. Through, first of all, its own collection of multiplying cells. And as it's moving, expanding, these cells are dividing in the creation of its form. But its form in no way defines the life which is there. It's moving into the physical through an increasing awareness of a unity with the water around it. Which is precisely the temperature of its own cells. So there isn't really a break at first between itself and the water. It's at one with the warmth of the water, if you could call it warmth, because it's a temperature which is pretty, but it's a first movement into the physical, into water. It's expanding into, and this we talked about yesterday, the biochemistry of the blood within itself, which is at one with the placenta of the mother, which is at one with the mother's body, which is in harmony, one way or another, for better or worse, with her environment. So it's very unlimited in its incomingness. The mother might believe that she ends with her physical body as she watches her womb expanding. But the baby doesn't believe this. This belief is not restraining the expansion of the baby's awareness. It's not caught in that. The mother might believe that she is totally a different person with a totally different identity from the father. The baby doesn't believe this. It's logic, it wouldn't believe this. What's happening in the baby is an expansion of awareness through varying colors or vibrations associated with varying stimulus. And as the cells develop, they're recognizing, they're being imprinted, learning. So at a certain stage, through awareness, It could be a pattern begins to form, for example, that when this vibration oh, hello darling, how was your day?
You're like, shit, he's from the UK. I didn't think my father was from the UK.
Which is picked up as a vibration, that there is an increase in the body, which is the baby and the mother, of stress. Or an increase of a sense of safety, a relaxation. Hello darling, how was your day? The whole biochemical system is there. Now we can relax. That's the good side, possible. Love. Some parents, when they make love when they're pregnant, feel almost like it's really kind of naughty and rude because the baby is part of this. There's a whole area there to do with shame, which comes forward often with first-time pregnancies about making love, especially in the later stages, when you're pregnant. These feelings, for example, around sexuality, are experienced by the baby as vibrations, as atmospheres that come together with sexuality, which it has no judgment about. But it's not judged. None of it is judged. And what does it mean when you say the baby is judged? Not judging. It's not yet moving according to I want more pleasure, I want less pain. It's not like it would experience the vibration of shame or the chemistry of shame and say, oh, I don't want this, where is the fun bit, where's the orgasm already? It's not making that movement.
Yo, Dad, get to it. To the left, to the left.
Whoa, slow down.
Yeah, really, really. Yeah, what's in the ring, man?
It's not there. This is, in us, a very, 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 very constant part of who we are. Unconditionally able to accept what is there without judgment, without belief, without needing to interact or control it or make it good. And we've talked a lot about this. This is a continuation from yesterday. Also, from the very first, already with the release of eggs and certainly from fertilization, there are dramatic changes in the chemistry of the mother to support chemically the process of unity, of bonding, as there's a movement into the physical dimension. So if the mother, a month before she was pregnant, was totally in control, very much working from her male side, organized, together, able to fight the Nazis, lead a unit into the protection of the village. The moment, though, even perhaps before she knows she's pregnant, the moment she has fertilized an egg, the whole chemistry of her body is also changing. There's an enormous softening enormous amount of allowance, which is releasing by degrees of her being surrendered in her body, often uncommon waves of emotion, of that which has been repressed or not used in the form the mother was taking before, or which in her family background, and also the father's family background, because everything is interlocked. What has been hidden in the depth of, first of all, vibration. In this, each newly conceived child is bringing forward an incredible healing happening already just in its being in the womb. It's healing in the sense that what has not been allowed is suddenly anyway, the liver stream opens as the womb begins to expand. And the emotions, the blockage, the suppression mechanism, which is normally there to keep form, whatever form, emotionally, is opened. It's like the gate is opened, and a lot of objectively irrational stuff begins to move and express. In this, the mother is also going through a process of surrender. In many, many ways, on many levels. The first level clearly is her body. That's how she got in this mess in the first place.
Told you I was surrender. First moment.
As my mother said when she conceived me, when this happened, and she told me in my conception, that's done it.
That's done it?
That's done it. Like, ugh. Because she just had a child and she knew what's coming. Something is taking over. It's taking over in a way that the best defense is least resistance. The best way to deal with it is let it happen. So a whole process is set up in the opposite direction of doing and fixing and activity to allowing, letting, releasing, allowing another stomach muscle to go ping, allowing the nausea, allowing the collapse of personality when people around you are treating you like you're slightly insane. You're not trusted on the level of mind anymore. You can't even trust yourself. Allowing that the whole experience of feeling and emotion is not in control. Allowing the fear which comes forward of not knowing how this is going to end. Allowing the love, which is the backdrop to the newly conceived child and his father or her father. But much, 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 much more difficult, allowing the non-love. Something is inside me and I'm supposed to love it. Allowing the pure suffering when it's not goo-goo, I've got a baby coming, I'm going to sing opera in the supermarket. It's actually kind of, there's an alien in my womb and it's expanding and I need to piss every 5 minutes. And I can't even lift shit and everybody's treating me like a crippled insane person. At best. Or I'm left in a feeling of unquenchable need and nobody cares. The loneliness inside being pregnant. And this is very, very strong where a mother is less supported and alone in the world. This isolation, loneliness, abandonment, forsakenness experience. What's shocking is that it is often just as strong when the mother is totally supported and surrounded by family that want to help and given food and because there's something even beyond all the support that's possible, which is very, very, very much alone in motherhood. There's these stages. And if this is not allowed, it can create more suffering. The aloneness becomes isolation, it becomes rejection, it becomes arguments which create more aloneness. There are many, many processes of inner growth happening just with the cooking of a baby in a mother's womb, all around. Inside the mother, inside the father, between the parents, with the grandparents, with the brothers and sisters already born or cousins, with the environment, with the medical system. All of this is picked up vibrationally and unconditionally with this explosion of new light, of awareness coming into the physical.
משהו ממש. Something is happening there.
The birds are like just playing the whole thing.
Sorry.
But here we're talking again about stuff happening. Vibration. Even on the level of awareness of the baby, we're talking about the happening. If all that was there for the baby was the happening, the vibration, the love, the physical aspects, the chemical aspects, the baby would not be sustainable. An infinite part of the baby's experience is nothing, is the silence, which is between the sounds. This is an incredible resource. It's the absence of experience. Now we, from our adult minds, feel, okay, that's boring, poor thing, nothing happening there, it's hardly existing. This is a complete belief of the adult, it's an illusion of the adult, of the conscious mind, the mind of duality. For the baby, this silence is infinitely rich, it's home. I give an example. When we talked about seeing things through the pineal, we talked about different kinds of experience of what can come forward, and talk about the colours that can come forward. About the happening. We talk about it as if all that whole area which it comes forward from was empty of any kind of interest, as if it was dead. This is partly because we're programmed so deeply to bond with happening, to bond with life, to bond with, we could also call it hooking, but I don't want the judgment of hooking anymore, because this bonding, when you look at both, is so important. the bonding with the body, the bonding with the mother, the bonding with the environment. This is how we become human. But in the area of experience, we can see it as adults. What we do is we grip hold of the picture. The picture matters. But what we don't do is close our eyes, look into the pineal, look directly into no picture, nothing, and experience the miracle of that. The very infinite dimension from which all pictures come. With this, the unborn child is utterly at one. There is no fear in this unborn child, other than the fear which is vibrating through its environment as stress. It has nothing to lose because it is everything. Everything and nothing. And more, even than everything and nothing. Still, so the baby is growing, and as it grows, which is from one perspective very, really rapid, from the perspective of eternity, it's very, very quick, this line thing. So at a certain stage, its body has grown, and he or she begins to feel the borders of the womb. Its twin brother.
It's getting a little tighter.
Its physical hearing develops. It begins to hear, and it's not yet clear what's what. The sound of the plates in the kitchen sink, for example, and the sound of its mother's belly. And always in the background there's this rhythm. A pulse. Which is becoming home. So even if the mother is standing, putting out her washing, and the Gestapo marches into...
What is with your Holocaust Association?
Oh,
Genius.
it's her fault.
Oh, okay. As long as you have somebody to blame.
It's the rebirthing, it kind of also brings up previous births. So even if a sudden crisis occurs in a mother and all the stress hormones go crazy and the sounds are not obeying the usual kitchen sink kind of regularity, there is still this, and even if the heart speeds up a little bit, it's still a rhythm, which comes again to a regularity for the baby, a felt rhythm, it's felt. This is going to be a way to come to peace in the physical throughout the person's life. Rhythm. Rhythm, not only in terms of music, but in terms of structure, repetition, routine, its own body, adult body. It becomes one of the master keys of allowing a relaxation into the physical. At a certain stage, our baby's eyes also,
In the womb.
but also
We're
affected
talking in the
by
womb.
there's
Yeah.
still the experience of color begins.
In the
Yeah, yeah. This is why a lot of pregnant women like to lie in the bright sun with their shirt off, because the baby is really experiencing light, physical light, like a warm glow.
Do they see in black and white or when they come out?
Also, black and white, the colors, full colors, like we do.
When they come out at the beginning as well?
So do babies come out different? Because when I was pregnant, we used to cover our stomachs. We never bared them. And now I see the young girls, pregnant and, wearing a bathing suit and it was all out. And the, shorts, the shirts and everything. And I said, it's vulnerable. You have to cover it. You have to protect it. How do you, it's all out. So does it affect the babies that come out?
Everything is affecting the babies that come out, but it's far, 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 far less than this whole dimension of nothingness, which isn't changing by any happening of this way or of that way, which is in itself always healing.
What's the thing that's always healing?
This nothingness.
The nothing, okay. Which is in between these various stimulations that are coming in through sound, through touch, through movement.
It's also in between the physical and the totally out of the physical. But it's on in this border between totally emptiness, form, something, and nothing. Because nothing is, in a way, in a dance with something.
Versus emptiness, which is not.
And the emptiness is another movement. This is kind of really important.
אמרתי רק ייגמר אני אשים את זה באמצע. נחשוב על עוד משהו.
You said nothing is in relationship to the something,
Yes.
where emptiness is another.
So this is really, emptiness has no opposite. Something is the opposite of nothing, and nothing is the opposite of something. This is really, really important, because the more we surrender to something, the more we are able to open up also to nothing. We say it a different way. In meditation, which is just a means to, it's very much like living, the more we are able to allow nothing, just on the level of the mind, the more a deeper something is able to come forward. The more we're able to fall back into non-experience, not experiencing anything, not feeling anything, the more truthfully and of itself feeling and experience emerges. The more we are able to let whatever is emerging grow without in any way trying to change it, the more we are able to fall back into the nothing, around it, within it. It's really a dance. And it's a dance which the unborn baby is doing not as a mental practice, but which is doing in naturalness, in its expanding body, and in its expansion into the whole physical dimension.
Georgina, when we if we do that and we get to the nothing, it always makes me jump and say, what happens there? Whoa, we're almost there. What is there? Nothing. It's, I have to go back here. And nothing is there.
That's exactly it. But that's the circulation.
The next stage is not
The next stage is to go into the nothing, but not with according to a attitude or a pattern or reflex that nothing is sleep. Nothing will send me to sleep because there's nothing in nothing. There's not nothing in nothing. Nothing is an amazing miracle. And when you really look to celebrate nothing, it's incredible how hard it is. Because of that, just what you described.
What
You know,
is
in a
there?
way, we're looking for experience, because nothing is nothing. That's there all the time. There.
Good.
So we say, okay, look at nothing. It's not that easy. It's really a process of surrender.
Okay.
And so the question comes forward is, what are we running from with experience?
Yeah. And if we know it so well from the womb, as with no fault, well, am I so afraid of it? Why?
There are many different levels of it. In a way, you're absolutely not afraid of it at all, moment by moment, and you're trusting it unconditionally. On the level of the mind, and on other levels, there's fear. There's fear.
Yeah.
Very much connected with being able to bond with form, with not being in control, being surrendered to the physical, being helpless. Now this is the most beautiful, exquisite, amazing thing about a baby, a newborn baby, and a baby in the womb. It really has no issues around helplessness. And this is all of us. It's all of us in birth, and it's all of us at the end when we die. It's all of us have this deep layer of helplessness in every moment. We are always helpless.
Sorry.
Now the word is loaded. The word is loaded in such a way that we say helpless and immediately we're triggering a whole load of chemical reactions.
I think maybe this is
Now we know this is true by the mind, but we don't agree.
the word is helpless.
The word,
Is helpless.
the word from where we're sitting now, looking backwards into the infinite source of all we are, is helpless. The word for the baby, it's not helpless. It's
It just is.
all powerful. It's really not a problem. To the mind, to the human form, to the dynamics of living, it can be surrounded by layers and layers of fear and threat and protection. It can be disallowed by whole families, structures, cultures. Never be helpless. It's worse than fucking a pig.
Yeah, there's a choice. There's a choice for you. Fuck a pig or be helpless.
It is like the Monty Python script with the knights that say me.
The nights that say
You know the
what?
Monty Python script of the Holy Grail where the knights come and they say me? Me? No, they say me. Helpless. I've really experienced families where this word is in both sides. Or it's completely not allowed, or it's a whole trip. A whole family egoic trip of being the martyr. It's lost all its purity.
Thou shalt not be helpless.
for the mother, in her increasing helplessness, leading to the moment before releasing the child, which is a total surrender on one level to helplessness. This is supported by the other side of the polarity of helplessness, which is strength. So just as with nothing and something, the more she's able to allow her helplessness in labour, the more the natural strength is allowed to emerge. Which means, to say it differently, the more she's able to give up control, the more of itself emerges a far deeper control. But not anything she could have thought up in advance. Really a deeper control. As we move through the more vulnerable layers of ourselves in these days, it's kind of helpful to remember that the more we can allow helplessness and really accept the feeling of it, the more empowered we will become. And this is, in a way, a process of trust. Because I could say it now 10 times in 10 different ways, the same words, but one time to try it, even with something small, and to see how this works, is the essence of it. Because then you'll see the dynamic and you can begin to do it with more. So you try first just with the finger and see that what happens then with this helplessness. Well, really dissolve into the helplessness and see. Just see. To get the trust that this fear is really not working for us. This fear that says, even though I know I am totally helpless in this physical body, I'm totally helpless against birth, I'm totally helpless against death. This fear is not helping what we're here for, which is so much bigger than us, or who we believe ourselves to be.
Like to surrender, no?
It's like to surrender. Surrender is a movement, and it's also loaded. It's also a loaded word. Helplessness is here now. It is. We can put stuff on it. We are helpless babies. We will be helpless old people dying, surrendering. We are helpless in so many aspects of living. Take a really, take a crisis situation. If we're not allowing ourselves to be helpless in a crisis, we can't even see the crisis. We're already kind of, fix this, do this, the mind is filled up, Before we can do whatever it is possible for us to do, to be of service, we have to first release completely into helplessness. And out of helplessness will appear what can be done in a very beautiful, precise, productive way. The rest is, it can't be done. Nothing can be done. But we try and hold on to everything. Like the kidnapped boys. Totally helpless. more that's accepted, the more the area where you can do something comes forward. The option of being helpless and not doing anything but running and trying to look what we can do, and despairing in that is not doing anything at all for anybody anywhere. The other option of really, really allowing the helplessness and letting it in, surrendering to the pain of it, will bring something that can be done. Which is much more physical and real. So, at a certain stage, the baby is cooked to such a degree that it's almost all its skin surface is touching the skin, the inner surface of the womb. It's much less in water and more held physically by the borders of the womb. And it begins to interact. It begins even to play. Its mind is already awakened and it's playful in a way. In a very subtle way, it sticks out an elbow, and if you touch it, it pulls it in again. And then there's a gap, and then another time. It is still, he or she is still sleeping an enormous amount, in total harmony and unity with everything and nothing. And Bart. And so this holding becomes tighter and tighter. The baby normally begins to engage, so even its head is held quite strongly in the, what do you call it? That bit of the womb where the baby's head engages.
Cervix. If it's in the right direction.
The engaging of the baby's head. So in a way its head is held, or really held. So the only freedom that's left is really to kind of shuffle a bit with the body. The kidneys of the mother, sorry.
Kidneys of the mother. It keeps kicking the kidneys of the mother. Not fun.
I'm thinking of one particular child.
Okay.
And you know, for a baby, time-space is really wobbly. It's much more sequence, and then, and it's not remembered. Like we remember anyway, but it's not like the gap between the engagement of the head and the next stage is that much different from the long gap between the first conception and hearing the sound in its mother's tummy. Time and space itself isn't that organized yet, because a lot of that time it's in infinity and eternity, sleep, expansion, different shades of awareness with physical vibrations, not just the local ones, mother, family, sabta, but planet Earth coming in. So time-space is not like, it could be, like the healing course yesterday, it feels like a week. So one day feels like a week less can be sometimes 1 hour felt like 100 years. So the baby's gap between the engagement of the head and the beginning of the first contractions, the next holding, the next physical rhythm, can be 100 years and it can be 1 second. So the next stage of physical engagement begins, which is the onset of contractions, which is triggered by something chemically from the baby. There's a yes. It's time.
The chemicals are
It's time
by the baby.
Oh,
wow, okay.
You can even see it energetically that in the center of the head of the baby, a light starts to pulse. And this light starts to pulse, the energy of the mother is reacting, the womb starts to react, oxytocin is kind of made. The baby starts this, make a little bit of oxytocin, and then the mother takes over, the womb takes over. So the baby indicates birth.
So the contractions begin, the birth begins. If the baby hadn't realized yet that there's such a thing as physical containment
Rude
in
awakening.
the movement of the head through the birth canal, where the whole skull is really kind of crushed. What gives way partly is the shape of the baby's head. It begins to get the idea of what this physical stuff is about.
Oh
There's
shit.
incredible pressure and waves of contractions which we experience from outside as mothers, pushing it little by little through. This is a perfect attunement with the mother who, by degrees of allowance and letting go, is allowing the birth. Part of this, for the mother, is incredibly hard to allow the separation from the baby, to let it go. Not because it was fun being pregnant, it's really from the body, almost counterintuitive. It's almost like just not possible to move like this, which in a way is destructive, to throw the baby out, to push it out from this pure in-between stage that was there. The difficulty in letting go can be seen by this stage in pregnancy in the mother where she thinks she's going to die. And she begins to push with such an unconditional rage, and is even maybe able to identify the destruction in that. Sometimes it's spoken. Get this bloody thing out of me. Or the thing is no longer there yet and it's just pushing out a foreign agent. It's rejecting like crazy. For survival, or for what often the midwives and the people around will say to the mother at this stage is, your baby's nearly here. And she's picked up on a new wave of love. Because she can see the rebirth it's in a way a rebirth of the baby for her at the other side. So she's now she's pushing with this pure destruction, get this thing out of me, but also pure love, save this baby's life, it needs to be out to live. The baby's heart is speeding up. You really have to push now, this tempo that increases.
May I add something? Because this is what pregnant women and women who gave delivery often forget. That's why you do it again.
And again. And again.
Well, but it's otherwise you would do it again.
Right.
In a way, you know, the amount of pain and the amount of suffering in the baby, but especially in the mother, is unbearable. And there is always this point where you're talking about of pure despair. If you're with the mother, you see birth from outside. This point, you know, where basically the mother is really kind of moving over the edge of her own death into the birth of the baby. It's like something is dying in you, there's only this. And this moment of pure despair, this moment of dying, in a way, is something to move through. The unbearable, it's not bearable anymore. It's too much. It's unbearable. It becomes unbearable. You become a machine. The rage of pressing, it becomes a machine, and you don't know if you will survive this.
You are literally being ripped into two.
Yeah. So it's
So
true.
the instinct to keep the body as one form is overridden, in the end, defeated completely in this total surrender to being split open.
And it's really, really beautiful. Also in energy, you see this. That basically there is a process of dying in the mother which enables the baby to live, to give birth. So it's where birth and death are coming together. It's one circle. It's really one circle which is coming together. There's an incredibly beautiful beauty in it. But a very deep suffering at the same time. And most women, after they gave birth, they're very, very happy with the baby, but never again. Never again. Never, I'm going to do this again. And it's amazing that after 2 weeks or a month, this never again is forgotten.
Sometimes really just...
It's really actually instant.
Instant.
Instantly you forget.
Yeah.
It can't be held in the mind, this kind of valley we pass through. It can't be remembered. You can touch the imprint of it, but normally when you remember a feeling, the feeling comes forward. With this, that, yes, that. You can point to it. But to re-experience it in its totality is not...
Take another one. Sorry.
And
Take, he talks like they're apples, you know? we finished the outcome, because right now the baby's head is dangling before the So the head is born. And we're talking about every birth is completely and totally different, and there's many variations. This is not, prescriptive. There's epidurals, there's inductions of births, feeding up, everything under the sun is possible, everything. With every woman, every birth is possible. They're unique like we are, births. But the general movement is that at a certain stage the head is crowning, and just the head is there. And there is a space between contractions. Blissful nothingness at this stage.
Blissful.
Blissful nothingness also for the mother who's drinking in these gaps between contractions. Before the last one, the last wave of contraction. This last push is actually much easier than the first of pushing out the head. The first 3, 4, 500 that got the head out. Because the head is always there. You already know, you can already feel the miracle, the atmosphere, this incredible atmosphere of the birth is already filling, you can feel it already through the cells. There is such an atmosphere in the baby and in this happening. And it's one last push, but the baby's head is already there. Or it's 2 last pushes, and the shoulders slide out almost like a fish. So, yes. And there are 2.
2 what?
Entities.
2 people.
Oh, no, okay.
This is kind of shocking. Where's it?
You're
You can see the baby. Often the baby can see you. It's searching already with its eyes. There's this incredible physical space now. We're not talking about nothing internal, we're talking about what the birth of the external world for the baby. There is this cold, airy, particly space all around its body, and its mother is far away. It's actually, it's not that far, but from the baby's
Yeah,
perspective, its skin is experiencing for the first time ever air, not water. Its eyes are experiencing such an intensity of physical light on the physical organs of the eyes. The light which is so home to the baby from the non-physical eye. eyes, is suddenly crowded out completely by physical light coming in through physical organs such that it's hardly able to open its eyes. Doctors or somebody is pushing the first breath. And the first sound of itself. Or depending on who responds. It's a bit like orgasms.
Exactly.
Massive crisis rush, chemically seen.
Chemically what? Crisis?
Chemically seen, the adrenaline at this stage is almost...
Crisis, is that what you said, crisis?
It's almost kind of vibrating out, it is vibrating out of the physical and going into a very high frequency of stillness. It's so fast. There are seconds to make sure that this works out. The baby's breathing, it's safe. And then it takes its first breath, it cries, the energy goes, and the love starts to expand like hell of everyone as one. Baby love, mummy love, doctor love, nurse love, Sabta's love, it's all...
Somebody remembers the husband? Yeah.